Stacey. Let me set this up. There's been a lot of talk on the internet about the World Cup and why Stacey Bromberg won't be playing for the U.S. team. And people were emailing me, and one guy posted on Facebook, hey, what do you know about this, and are you going to cover it on the show? And I basically said, well, it's up to Stacey. If she wants to come on the show and explain things, that's fine with me. Somebody's circulating a petition, talking boycott. I mean, it's quite a deal. So let's run the interview with Stacey, and then we can talk about it after if you got some questions, because it gets a little complicated. It's a lot of politics and stuff. It's kind of sad. All right, so let's listen to Stacey.
Okay, we're talking to Stacey Bromberg now. Stacey, the reigning women's 501 national champion. And on the show, on WFDI Chicago, on Dart Talk, to tell us why she won't be playing in the World Cup this month that's coming up in Ireland, I believe. How are you, Stacey?
How you doing, Steve?
Good. So a lot of questions, a lot of people asking, a lot of discussion, especially over the internet on not where's Waldo, but where's Stacey. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I can tell you that I was under the impression I was going to go to World Cup, defend my title, and things are just not going to play out that way due to circumstances beyond my control.
Right. Well, I appreciate you sending me the correspondence that you had with Roy Price, who's the current president of the WDF, as well as one of Dart's most prominent journalists. But why don't we explain to the listeners exactly what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you, it becomes kind of gray all the way through and through. The way I see it is I was named to the team since I won the World Cup in 2009. Since then, I had the opportunity to speak with Roy Price personally. He was in Vegas for one of the tournaments. I can't remember, probably Vegas Open. But I asked him, will my playing PDC affect my eligibility for World Cup? And he said, absolutely not. It is up to each country's dart organization to name their team, and the WDF doesn't have any business in that. And I said, great. So in the meantime, I played some PDC and WDF events, and everything was fine. I had the ticket bought for me via the ADO. The roster had been submitted to the WDF and had been accepted and published on their website. Relying on that, I arranged an exhibition over in Belfast at the Youth Darts Academy. I was going to meet with the author of what was to be an upcoming book about me defending my World Championship title. All of this fell through a couple of days before the USA Dart Classic 2 weeks ago, when I was informed that I am now ineligible and I will not be attending World Cup.
Wow. Okay. So for the listeners that aren't really familiar, can you give us a little bit of background as far as like what the PDC is and what the BDO is and why they're somewhat mutually exclusive when it comes to the players?
Well, the only organizations that really play an integral part in this whole episode is the PDC and the WDF. I'm an ADO member by choice, playing in America. The ADO is governed by the WDF, the World Darts Federation. So that is all basically one body, or at least I always thought it was for the last 24, 25 years I've been playing. The PDC is relatively new, about 15 years old. It is far more financially acclimated, far more televised, far more promoted, sponsored, supported. I think it's far eclipsed the WDF and transcended the game into what it is today. It's not that I have any love lost for the WDF. They definitely serve their purpose. But with conflicts like this, where the WDF is deeming me ineligible to play because I have played tournaments in this other darts body, that's when it gets a little too political and sticky for my taste. And that's basically what's happened to me. I'm told that I have played 4 events in each governing body, and I'm therefore not playing a majority anywhere, so I'm not eligible to play. I really don't know how to explain it any more than that. I'm really baffled about it. I don't see how I fall within this majority discussion or rule. I understand it was brought about by a bloke from Gibraltar who had played some extraordinary amount, 10 or 15 PDC events and only 1 WDF event. And he was apparently scratched from or not accepted their roster. But the WDF accepted America's roster, knowing me, knowing my situation, knowing I had inquired to Mr. Price prior to all of this. I'm not quite sure how it's all coming down, but I know I can't go and play World Cup.
Okay, well, two questions come to mind right away. The first one would be, if Roy Price is the president of the WDF and gave you his word, why couldn't he keep it? But the other question I have is somewhat different, and maybe you can explain to everybody if the WDF is interested in having a World Cup and promoting the sport worldwide and getting the best players any country can get, why do they care if you played in the PDC or not? What difference should it make?
The first question I'll go back to. The second question, why the WDF would care, I'll be really honest with you. I don't know of any logical reason besides egos and what they see their personal goal as being, because I don't see it as doing the sport any good. I'm not going to carry any sour grapes away from this whole thing. They want to have a WDF World Cup without me. That's fine. Whoever wins it, you know what? Let's do another promotion, maybe through your radio station. Let's do another ladies' championship, because I'll play that person. But I don't carry any negative feelings from it. Why they do it, I have no clue. It doesn't do anybody any good at all. It's not even logical, and in all honesty, I've provided you with their rules that they're citing in all the discussion, and I don't even think they're interpreting their own rules properly. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I have to admit, I read that one clause like 6 or 7 times, and if you take it literally, there's basically no one in this event that's qualified to play it unless they play more WDF events than anything else. Kind of a silly clause, and it struck me as being some sort of subterfuge. I mean, I don't really understand how the WDF and the BDO and the PDC, that's mostly overseas, so I don't really know anything about that, but just looking at the one clause itself, I was like, my gosh, if I was a lawyer in Europe, I'd have a field day with these guys. One injunction would shut down the whole event. But I'm not a lawyer, so.
And I'll tell you, I was in the legal profession for 27 years, and as crazy as it sounds, months ago, when Buddy and I were first firming up the fact that, yes, I'm going to go, yes, I want to defend my title, yes, this is what I want to do, and yes, this is what he wants me to do. The ADO was behind me. Everything was looking great. I went to the WDF website, and I went over all the rules and regulations because, Steve, you've known me for a while, but I'll be honest with you, in my 25 years of playing, controversy has a way of finding me no matter where I go or what I do. And
I have heard that about you.
It's a curse, what can I say? But I really, as God's honest truth, I went to the website, I looked up all the rules and regulations, and I even saw this rule. And I thought, well, for goodness sake, I've played 30 or 40 times this year already in ADO tournaments. And I know the ADO is governed by the WDF because the ADO is giving our roster to the WDF. So therefore, I felt I was firmly within the rules and the boundaries, and this exact rule comes back and is now misinterpreted against me, and it's the doggonedest thing. I truly believe that it comes down to the Gibraltar bloke called the WDF bluff and said, if you're doing this to me, you got to do it to everyone else. And the WDF wants to stand behind their guns, and they want to do it to the Gibraltar bloke, so it's going to be done to me anyway.
I did try to contact Buddy on very short notice, but I'll send him another text and give him the number to the show if he wants to call in tomorrow. I don't think it's fair, and I'm not going to speak for Buddy, but let me ask you this. Was it a matter of, I seem to recall you saying that Buddy had told you if you go and play in the BDO, if you played in the British Open, that would make you eligible to play in the World Cup, and you had a scheduling conflict, I believe?
Well, it was more than a scheduling conflict. It was more of a financial, dilemma. Because basically, what I would have had to do is, when I first made World Cup, I had set up an exhibition at the Belfast Youth Arts Academy a couple of days after World Cup, and I was also going to be meeting with my writer, who is writing a book about the experience, and then I was going to play a couple of PDC events in Dublin, and then come home. That was the plan. When all of this transpired and blew up 2 weeks ago, I was then told, well, basically I wouldn't be allowed to play the Dublin tournaments, which I was already entered in, and I've since withdrawn from those also, because in order for me to go to World Cup, I would have to skip a tournament that I was attending in San Francisco the weekend before I leave, and I would have to leave a week early and pay a couple $100 difference in my airfare, another couple hundred train, another several hundred for room, and go enter and play in the British Open and miss the tournament in San Francisco that potentially I can make money at in order to qualify to play World Cup, which pays no money. So they wanted me to lay out another $1,000 to $2,000 to go over and qualify to play in the World Cup. And I'll be honest with you, Buddy offered to pay part of the 50% of the changing the airfare. I mean, that's what apparently, Buddy didn't think I was getting a fair end of the deal either. But the other couple of grand would have come from me. And if I had gone to do that, that would have rendered me ineligible for the Dublin shoot, but to remain eligible for Dublin, I couldn't accept the World Cup ticket. It all became a catch-22.
Well, Stacey, to be honest, in my opinion, it sounds totally unfair. But what are you going to take out of this?
I can only take, the old philosophy, life isn't going to be fair, etc. But that's the way this is going to play out, and so it goes. So I'm through with it, but I'm still really hoping to send a good message to Kelly and Kelly West and Brenda and Larry and Jimmy, everybody that's on the team that's going over there, Buddy, and I just hope they have a great time, and I'd love to see them be really successful and bring home some gold. Just go ahead and do it for America. Team USA, and I'm behind them all the way.
That's awesome. Well, I hope we can talk again soon under better circumstances, or happier circumstances anyway.
Yeah, I guess I'm becoming a frequent flyer on your program, aren't I?
Friend of the show, we encourage that.
Thanks a lot for your time, Steve.
Okay, Stacey, you take care.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Ms. Stacey Bromberg,